Welcome to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello everybody and welcome to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be discussing The Eyes of My Mother. Is that right, John?
Correct.
Very confusing title. Last week it was God is Dead and Nothing Means Anything. This week it's I'ma Steal Your Baby and Tie You Up Eyeless in My Barn. So one feel-good movie to the next this summer, John.
Don't spoil Alien Covenant. Some of us haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
God.
I think before even seeing the movie, if you saw Prometheus, you kind of knew.
God is dead? Oh,
Yeah.
Don't have to see it now.
I am Eric. I'm your host for this evening. Joining me tonight, he lives in Chicago and he drinks beer. His name is Joe.
Fuck yeah, I do those things, man.
He also hosts the world's most popular, arguably, Real Housewives podcast with Evan.
Second most, I would say. But Friday, I am going to see the most popular one live.
What?
Bitch Dash?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. That's,
You know what
that's
it
like
is,
Suzanne's
Forrest?
dream.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah, man. My wife, all she talks about is fucking
Joe.
Bitch Dash
Say
and
it.
Joe's podcast.
Say it. Say all your wife talks about is me.
Real Housewives podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have a ton of fan mail tonight, so we actually have some time to explore these ideas if we need to later. So,
Okay.
next up on the show, you just heard him. He's coming to you from Manhattan in New York City, the business manager at bloodygoodhorror.com and champion of the English language. His name is John Schnars.
The new character coming along nicely, Eric. Thank you.
New character, although, as I'll get to in a second here, I have a question about your old character because of a photo that you sent out into the ether this weekend. But before we do that, next up on the show, coming to you from Indiana, he is host of the Instamatic, and his name is Casey.
Hi.
And last up tonight, in honor of Memorial Day, our resident veteran at Bloody Good Horror. Also, all I remember from the Jason character is that he jumped out of a plane onto Godzilla one time. And you have twin daughters. 1-year-old twin daughters. Are they walking yet?
One is full-blown walking, running.
Wow. Running.
Is she just
Running.
like taunting the other one? Like,
Oh yeah, constantly.
can't do this.
And the dog, and the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, Jason and I were just talking. Our chitlins are like a week apart from each other. So, But I only have one. And that's already enough. So.
Is she walking, Eric?
She's pretty close, which is funny because she's so tiny. Like, I don't really notice because I don't really see her on other babies a lot, but we were like around a bunch of babies this weekend at a party, and I'm like, we got a tiny baby.
Yeah. Lucy's actually turned out to be real small, too. She's a
Yeah.
small baby.
So I think it's going to be funny when she starts walking really early, and it's just this really tiny baby walking around talking. It's going to freak people out, like Chucky.
Yeah. It's you'll be terrified for different reasons, but
Yeah.
you know.
So, John, we got a lot to talk about, but I just wanted to bring this up quick first. I don't know why I said that. We don't really have a
I was
lot
gonna
to talk
say
about, but
I didn't know that, but
I
okay.
have several things I'm
Very
interested. I have several things I'm interested in talking about. How's that?
Eric's just gonna roll right into it, guys.
Before we move on, right? This new Schnars character, he is the savior of the English language and champion of the common man. But you just couldn't let me move on because this weekend you had to Instagram a picture of your rooftop pool in New York City. In your apartment, which is literally the bougiest thing I've ever seen you do.
Eric, we've talked about this on multiple occasions.
There's a difference between like
you
you
were
saying
in my
it.
building.
There's a difference between you saying it and me just seeing it in all its bougie glory.
Yeah.
Like it's
It's really not that bougie. Like as rooftop pools go, it's like a nice pool, but it's not like
John,
fucking.
you are on top of a building in the best city on earth in a fucking rooftop pool. Let's not
Number one.
undersell.
Where the hell else are they going to put it in that city?
Right.
That's,
But
true.
there you go.
there's buildings.
filled
all-
with-
It's
It's only
just
filled with mid-grade champagne.
listen.
There's actually a super nice community pool like right down the street from us too. So
But you don't.
I realized when I was looking at these Insta tweets that you were posting that you have the same physique as Leonardo DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street. Like that same sort of like just a little bit of coke bloat, but you're kind of hiding it. Like
God,
What? Oh
Rich-
Lord.
like rich man's like just a little bit out of shape.
Let
but
it
still
be
trying.
said. Let it be
I
said.
actually think I'm in pretty okay shape, Joe. I
Yeah,
don't know.
no, you are. Like you're holding it
Sort of,
together just
kind
with
of.
like with
Guys,
glue and
This is
cocaine.
going in some weird places.
I
I'm
would
just
like to
gonna
let
throw
it. I would like to let it be known for the record that shockingly, I didn't spend any time thinking about Schnars' physique. I was mostly
no.
just in. I was jealous of the pool.
Joe, did you
I-
see my post from the Pony Bar?
No, I missed
I
that.
did.
Oh, dude. Killer.
I could actually look at one of John's pictures and say, I've been there.
To
There
be
you
to
go.
be fair, Joe had a lot of weird thoughts this weekend, but we'll get to the rest of them when we get to reviewing this movie.
This movie hit home.
Here's where I'm going with all this, John. This is probably going to surprise you, but we just passed Memorial Day, which means, among of course, honoring those who have fallen in battle. It also means the start of the summer movie season.
Oh, yes.
So, what happened to our favorite movie to be confused by, Alien Covenant?
Oh, boy. Alien Covenant. So, week 2, Alien Covenant, it fell into 4th place. So,
Not great.
Not great. Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, sorry. Pirates of the Caribbean first. Sorry, burping here. I got a little beer burp. Guardians 2 comes in at number 2. Baywatch. Did anyone see Baywatch?
I did actually.
I'm
We
not
went and
gonna
saw it together.
lie. How was it, Joe? Because I'm not gonna lie. The trailer actually looked like it might have been funny.
It
No.
was pretty good. It was too long. Like it was 2 hours.
Really? For that? Like, why would it be 2 hours?
I think the trouble was like it was funny, but they also tried to make it into kind of like an action movie.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it
like,
was, there was a lot
almost-
going on there.
It looked
I
a
did
little.
see the Rock firing at critics about how shitty they are. So
Yeah,
that was
well-
fun on Twitter.
It looked a
Love that
little
guy.
21 Jump Streety, maybe like that kind of mix of comedy and like a little bit of action. Although maybe more
Yeah,
action.
but
Yeah.
there
That's what they
wasn't enough
wanted it to
comedy.
be,
I
for
think.
sure.
Which
I
I'm
mean,
not.
like,
I would
The
rent
Rock
it for
is-
sure. I wouldn't bother go seeing it in the theater.
The Rock is like amusing. Like I like The
Oh.
Rock, but he's like a great like Fast and the Furious actor, where it's like he can be funny, but it's still just an action movie.
Yeah.
When he's carrying a comedy, that's not.
Here you go, Joe. Headline from 2fab.com. Dwayne Johnson gives Baywatch critics the people's elbow on Twitter.
No.
You know, I
like it.
really, as I was saying that, I was like, I really wish Mark was here because he would probably appreciate
Mm.
that more than most.
There you go.
I'm fired up because he is playing the lead in the Jungle Cruise. It's like the Disney adaptation
God.
of the ride, the movie they're doing.
Uh-huh.
Very
Cool.
excited.
Well, on
That
Twitter,
makes
Apparently,
it-
apparently he's like popped in and actually done like the. I don't know if you guys ever been on the ride. Like the whole thing is like the skipper like makes like stupid jokes. Like he has been on board and like he's trying to learn the character and stuff. It would be my dream to ride a Disney
is
ride with the
Is it
Rock.
basically going to be Anaconda, but he's in the what's the old guy's name in Anaconda?
Jennifer Lopez, John.
No,
Boyd.
John
That's
Boyd. John
racist.
Boyd. Yeah, he's the John Boyd
Ice
character.
Cube.
Yeah. Anaconda's a good movie though.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't hear any of that because I was reading tweets that The Rock did about this movie. He
Mhm.
tweets like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Fans love the movie, period.
Sad.
Critics hate it, period. What a glaring disconnect, period. People just want to laugh and have fun. Hashtag Baywatch, flame emoji. So there
I mean,
you go.
it came in third.
I gotta close
and,
this tab. Sorry.
And like didn't actually do that well. So like I don't really
I mean,
know.
Baywatch 2017, I get it. Like, haha, it's funny. I still feel like it's a hard sell for people, if only because of the name. Like, no matter what you do with it, even if you somehow turn it into amazing comedy, people are like, really? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to watch the show a lot when I was little, and I knew it was fucking garbage when I was watching it.
So
but,
what's
you know.
well, what's Prometheus's total? Not Prometheus. Jesus,
Oof,
Alien
yeah, it's-
Covenant.
So domestic, it's still coming in under 60 mil on that $100 million budget. Worldwide, we're up to 160.
Okay,
but that is
all right.
not.
So what does worldwide include R60?
Yeah,
Like, is
yeah,
that
yeah,
a
yeah.
total basically?
When you say worldwide, like the U.S. is included in the world, Eric. So it's
We
part.
are the world.
Not for long.
We're
buddy.
kind of better than the world, John. I don't know if you're aware of this. It's like U.S. and then
Um,
the world.
That's
Wait,
fair.
before we move on, since I wasn't on last
Have
week,
you learned nothing
does this
from Donald
appear
Trump?
anywhere in Eric's top 10?
Yeah, it probably does. But let's talk about it after we review this movie. Oh,
What?
this
Oh
this
my-
movie's not ending up my list, but we'll just do it later. It doesn't
Alright.
feel right at the beginning of the show, John. It feels because it should be
Well-
like we'll review this week's movie, and then Joe will be like, "Hey, Eric, what about
Sorry.
your list?"
I'm
He
sorry I
likes
brought
you
it
to
up,
touch
guys.
it first, John.
Yeah,
The Eyes of My Mother is not eligible, just FYI. But Alien Covenant,
that's fine. It
very
wouldn't have made my
valid.
list, but then that would be an appropriate time for me to talk about what we missed last week.
Okay.
Also,
Such.
another thing I want to talk about this week: Friday the 13th, the movie, The Game,
Mm.
now released, sort of, onto consoles and personal computers.
A lot of chatter on the old Slack
Yeah,
about it.
so I've had a lot of people on my Facebook talking about it. We hit up our fans on Slack, the patrons, and just kind of asked them what their experiences were with it. Seems a little mixed, John. A bit of a
Yeah,
mixed
I mean,
bag.
It was funny because even the people who were like, "Oh yeah, I really liked it," they were like, "You really gotta work to like it," basically, you know.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, it's interesting, right? This was a small team of guys who were making this game independently on their own. And then Sean Cunningham, I guess, had always thought about doing a game like this, saw their stuff, decided to go into business with them. Sean Cunningham wrote and directed the original Friday the 13th. He's got to be super old, right?
Yeah, that's
So
a good
I don't even know
estimate
how
of his
involved
age.
he was in it, other than just bringing them on and selling them the rights or whatever. But like I said, small team. The development's kind of taken a while. It sounds like it's pretty buggy, and it sounds like there've been some pretty nasty server issues. Like Casey, you were saying, and I was seeing Freddie from Night Loving Podcast saying like he was trying to connect on PS4, I think, all weekend, and
Yeah.
wasn't able to get in a game, which is
Lots
kind
of
of the
talks of people that did get into games getting dumped before they could finish the game too.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
tough. And the thing is, like, if you miss the launch of a game like that, like, what good is that game going to be in a year if nobody's playing? There's no real single player game, right? It's just a multiplayer game.
There's supposed to be single player content coming out later this year, from what I've read.
No, so not there yet.
Yeah,
The
Dear
question
Lord.
is,
Sean,
will
Sean Cunningham, who I might add is approximately 870 years old.
nice. So, like, I wonder if what I would hope is that people who paid, I assume $60 for this, that they'll just get that single player content, that it won't be extra. But maybe that's wishful thinking.
I don't know, Eric.
Dare to dream.
You will have to email Sean Cunningham about his business model for video games, which he just learned about.
Well, we were talking.
Jason is the Pac-Man, right?
I'm gonna be really interested to see like how it sold, because we were talking before the show. The problem is that, people like us are always gonna pay attention to a release like this and be interested in it, but there's this larger gaming community that if they just see a bunch of negative stories the first week, may just ignore it and never go back to it. You know what I mean? So, as much as we want to give them the benefit of the doubt, like that type of a negative, news cycle right out of the gate is pretty bad for sales usually.
I'm surprised it did 820,000 on Kickstarter. I had it in my brain that it did way more than that.
Yeah, and honestly, like as far as big budget game making goes, that's probably not very much. Especially
Oh
depending-
no, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like it's hard to make a game for 800 grand would be my guess.
Yeah.
So that gets released on all systems at the same time, and
Right.
you can always start these things smaller on Steam and kind of go from there. But
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
That's Steamies, Joe, for you, in case you weren't following.
Oh yeah, no, I downloaded that and I played a game for 2 days. I still got it sitting here.
Straight. Did you go to sleep or?
No, I should say no. For 2 days, I used Steam, not continuously.
Nice.
But then I lost interest.
What did you download?
Oddworld, one of the Oddworld
Wow,
sequels.
old school. I like it.
Yeah, I love those games. They were
Very
a lot of fun.
nice. They're hard.
Yeah, super.
You can tell since you played twice and then never played again.
Yeah. Maybe 3 done.
Yeah. All right, Joe. It is time. Please bring us tonight's beer recommendation.
Beer guts.
What are we drinking tonight, Joe?
Oh, it makes me so happy.
That's the first I've heard that. That's awesome.
The Eyes of My Mother. Did I get that right?
Sure.
Yeah,
Um,
there you go.
Yeah, let's go with that. So the movie, I'm not even going to bother try to explain it, but the movie is kind of split up into different chapters, pretty much focusing on this young girl's family. There's a section about her mother, her father.
It's a family movie, Joe.
It's an all around. It's we should have saved this movie for Father's Day, but in honor of that bond and that love that you feel in this movie, I picked a beer from the good folks at Wild Onion Brewing. All the way out in Barrington, Illinois, and this is their Bloodline.
Ah, that
Yeah,
actually
it's
works
a
on multiple levels for this movie, Joe.
Very much. I said, hey,
Because there was blood in the movie, you mean?
there was lines being
Yeah.
drawn.
No, bloodlines,
Um,
but like family. There's lots of issues on
All right,
family
Joe.
and bloodlines.
we got you.
So anyway, yeah, Bloodline is a black IPA, which I've talked about before, I'm sure, but one of my favorite styles. So IPA, obviously, you get sort of that hoppiness, but then with the black IPA, you get sort of those toasted malts in there. So it's kind of like a coffee with hops going on. Like it's just all around. It's everything you want in a beer and more. This one you can get on tap at their brew pub, which is super good, but Wild Onion actually distributes pretty far, so you can probably get this in your neck of the woods too. Although it's a limited release, so they don't bottle it all the time. But all their beers are usually pretty good. Comes in at about 6.2% alcohol, so a little bit up there. If you're gonna say mow the lawn, you might want to only have like 6 or 7 of these before you go try and fix your the little spinning blade and whatnot.
Sure.
And yeah, so as I mentioned, like they get pretty far. Like I used to get these guys back in Jersey and New York. So if you see their stuff, definitely pick it up. I think Hop Slayer is like one of their more popular. You'll see that on tap at a lot of places. The website is onionbrewery.com. And yeah, I think that'll do it, kid.
Love it.
Thanks.
All right, guys, it is time. Let us discuss The Eyes of My Mother.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
And we're back. Literally every time I say the name of that movie, I think I got it wrong. Was that right?
That was
The
good. Yeah, you
Eyes
did
of
it.
My Mother. Sweet.
Congrats.
I feel good. John Schnars.
Yes, Eric.
There's people out there running around telling us the words don't mean anything.
Oh,
I don't believe 'em.
Just this weekend, I was told that all news stories are fake. Do you believe that?
Who would dare say something like that, Eric?
It's blasphemous, if you ask me. That's why you're here, John. You are here to stick up for the common word, and in doing so, really put yourself out there for the common man.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Do you know what I'm saying?
After I swim in my pool on the roof.
Well,
My roof.
listen.
you got to relax somehow.
I'm stretching here, okay? Just go with me. All right, John.
All work and no play.
Did you see the picture Suzanne posted of me in my sweatpants? I was a little, peeved
Oh, is
about
that
it.
the swing? The thing?
Yeah, it wasn't my best look, but that's okay. You know,
Bro,
we talked about it.
I have
It's
recently
good.
rediscovered the joys of sweatpants, and let me tell you, there is no shame.
Recently, what have you been wearing? all these years?
Like shorts mostly, or like
God.
pajama pants maybe. But now I'm just straight
all right.
sweatpants. Like I'm either at work or I'm wearing sweatpants pretty much all the time. It's great.
Huh.
Hey John, try to pretend like you're somebody who doesn't wear sweatpants, aka fancy, so that you can bring us the word of the day.
Eric, today's word, sclera. That's SCLERA.
He was a Supreme Court justice, right?
The sclera is the white outer layer of the eyeball.
Gross.
At the front of the eye, it is continuous with the cornea. Sclera comes from the Greek word scleros, which means hard. I don't know. So yeah, some other facts. It is extremely durable. But it is also flexible, which adds to its strength. And it is continuous with continuous with the sheath of the optic nerve. So
Right.
the sclera. Tell your
Love it.
friends about your eyeball anatomy knowledge.
I love it, John.
Hmm.
What's this movie
Good
about?
energy here tonight, guys. I feel it. Like it's good.
What's this movie about, John?
Palpable.
This
Well,
movie
the
got me scleros.
I was going to say, if you want to talk about energy, Joe, The Eyes of My Mother, written, directed, and edited by first-time filmmaker Nicholas Pesci. I mean, presumably he's made other films, but this is his first feature film.
Joe Pesci's son, I believe.
Yeah, yes. That would explain some things about the movie. It premiered at the 2016 Sundance Film Festival.
Holy shit, that dude looks like Eric.
And it got a release via Magnet. So Magnet picked this up. They do a lot of these kind of like indie horror joints.
How do they work? You know?
Yeah.
The director does kind of look like me with more hair.
Yeah.
It did get a theatrical. It snuck into theaters right at the end of 2016 in December. This movie is 77 minutes long. So it's pretty brief, pretty trim. It tells the story of Francesca, who is, when we meet her, a young girl. As Joe sort of mentioned, there's 3 chapters to the film. There's Mother is the first section, then Father, and then the third section is called Family. And in the first section, we meet her. She's young. She is with her mother. And they are essentially attacked by sort of like a drifter, like a serial killer type who like wanders into their home. They live in a very secluded home out in the middle of nowhere.
That scene, John, heebie-jeebies a little bit.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That guy was really...
Did anyone think that was John Rufio when he showed up?
that guy was really good, like almost too good, if you know what I'm saying.
I was thinking more of a Michael Jeter from back in the day.
From the
He's
Yankees?
he's
Michael,
a real creep.
it's his
Looks
brother.
nothing like him.
Yeah.
So this guy comes into the house, and as Eric said, creepy scene. And he kills the mom, and the mom is like raising her daughter. They're out in this like deserted sort of wilderness area, very secluded. They live on it's not really a farm, although there's a barn. There are some cows.
We'll call it a farmhouse.
Pretty sure that warrants a farm. The
Yeah.
title.
Yeah, but the husband is not a farmer.
It's
like,
not
he's
a
like,
There's
working-
crops.
It's
No,
not a,
Women can't be farmers?
No, well, I don't. They never
Ooh.
showed them like tending crops though. They showed them like taking care of a couple cows,
So,
whatever.
John,
they're
Well,
John,
dairy farmer. Dairy
they're
farmer is a thing.
husbanding animals. Okay,
John.
how about
it's a farmhouse.
slash
We
surgeon.
get it.
Jesus, John, and your ivory tower and silver pools.
John's
Listen,
like,
Joe,
where was
if
the
I can't
pool on the
define
roof?
what is and isn't a farm? What are we doing here? All right.
I don't know where my filet mignon comes from.
And I don't want to know.
Oh Lord! All right, so on their farm in the middle of nowhere, they get fucking attacked by a serial killer, and the scene is cut such that we don't see the mom necessarily being killed. But what happens is the father drives up, he comes into the house, and then we kind of like smash cut to, I believe the father having the girl help him bury bury the mother rather. So this girl who's all of like 10 years old maybe has now been exposed to this guy come in, kill her mom, and then the father's like immediate first thought is like, okay, you got to help me take care of the situation. We then see her in the barn where the murderer has been strung up by chains, and she has surgically removed his eyes. As a 10-year-old, this is sort of set up by the mom explaining all the parts of the eye and like showing her how like cow's eyes are just like human eyes. It's
She
all
says
very-
like the mother was a surgeon. Like I forget. Like,
yeah,
wherever they were
she
from.
was an ophthalmologist in Portugal because a
Portugal.
lot of the film is in Portuguese.
Portuguese.
Yeah,
She also
so
says that the soul is in the eyes, right? She does
there you
say
go.
that.
That's a Portuguese thing or something.
Also,
No,
also like a little marble, apparently.
But yeah, and so essentially the film becomes this sort of exploration of this girl's maturation after this event. She, as far as we know, well, it's not that she never leaves the farmhouse, but she very infrequently leaves the farmhouse. So she sort of is raised by the father and then, continues to live on herself in this very secluded farmhouse. Essentially when the first section ends and the second section begins, she's now living at this farmhouse with her and her father, and she's kept the murderer alive, chained up in the barn with his eyes cut out, and I believe his tongue is removed because he can't speak anymore.
And he's got like his eyes are cut out but like mangled, and there's like a disgusting piece of like fabric tied over his eyes.
Oh,
I mean, some of that I thought was just like swelling.
I feel like it's like
a
fabric
clean
plus effluvia, let's call it.
Sure,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, it was super gross though.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so she and that's sort of I mean that's really the I'm trying to think like what else we want to describe plot wise. The rest of the film, like I said, is really her kind of increasingly exploring her own I'll call them violent sort of urges, but it's not even necessarily that, because I think the big question, or a big question in the film, is sort of to what extent like she even understands what she's doing as like sort of violent, or if like she
Right.
literally only understands like human interactions in these like sort of super warped and like disturbingly violent.
Well,
kind
because
of
there, I mean, we'll get
ways.
to it, but there is an exchange in the movie where you get the sense that she in no way understands how bad what has happened in her life is with the girl. Like she says something to the girl that made me think like,
Yeah, so you're talking about a sequence, and this is I think it's sort of toward the end of the second section, the end of the father section. She drives the father's car off the property, and brings back a woman that she's like picked up at a bar. And so this woman, this woman's kind of like, oh, I've never done anything like this. Isn't it funny? Like, you're so like, they're kind of like, I think the other woman thinks she's just playing coy, when she really is just like, no, she's just a weird
yeah,
lady. And
yeah.
so, yeah, and then, some murderation transpires.
Jason, what did you think?
You're starting me. All right. I did not like this movie though. I know that I'm going to be probably the person who's down on this film the most. I think it is. I think it contains some great visuals, some haunting moments, well directed, especially in the scenes that require tension. However, I believe a film like this requires some kind of understanding of the character. And not only is there not any of that, it's completely uninterested in doing that. It's almost God's eye view of a character who's completely unredeemable, which obviously is the point of that character, but also there's no reason behind it. Nothing that drives the story forward from my point of view. So I kind of felt uninterested myself. There was no, despite the fact there were shocking moments, I really didn't care that much about them. So
Joe.
oh boy. So I actually enjoyed this movie
Are
quite
you
a
okay?
lot.
Are you okay, Joe? You know you're on a podcast right now, right?
No, I feel where this is going based on our emails. I really like this actually. I thought the daughter character was like really interesting, the way she goes about sort of interacting with all these people, and even like her setup at the beginning with like her interaction with her father. I found that like super fascinating to watch. And I mean,
Yeah.
we'll kind of talk about it. And Eric, I think you're the first one who mentioned it over email, but like some of the visuals in this are really beautiful also. Like sort of the far away pan shots, and like they do a lot of or not a lot, but like a few like sort of overhead, like specifically the movie opens up with a truck driver finding this woman like in the middle of the road, and it's all sort of shown like at least like the quote unquote like climax of that scene like from an aerial view. Like it's really interesting, which I thought was like super impressive for a first time director, and not even like a first time director. Like I think his only other credit is like some movie which I can't remember off the top of my head. He was like other.
There was
like-
definitely a strong sense of like when we talk about this a lot, when you can feel when a filmmaker has a sort of sense of direction or like a confidence in their vision, sort of. And
yeah,
this,
absolutely.
This, for better or worse, this felt like one of those movies, I think.
but I thought, and probably the fact that it's only like a little bit over an hour really saves this movie for me. But I mean, overall, like I actually found it pretty interesting.
Casey.
So I'm right there, right along with Joe, and I think he's right exactly on the time frame too. This is a pretty short flick. If it would have gone on longer, I probably would not have liked it as much. My biggest thing coming out of this movie when we get to the end of it is, holy shit, that movie's kind of messed up, and it's really brutal. And yeah, it's one of those ones that John framed it perfectly in email this morning, what I was trying to say, but it's a movie I appreciate. It's not one that I necessarily want to go back and watch again. Because like you said, there's some beautiful shots going on here. I kind of like, for me, I thought the story worked because I liked that they didn't go heavily on the backstory with this character. I thought that they gave us just enough to realize how bleak this girl's life was throughout the movie and what kind of led to that. And overall, it really worked for me, but it was really messed up.
Hey, John.
Yes, Eric.
What'd you think of this?
I mean, I didn't. Well, I would say I appreciated it. It's flawed. It has its issues. Ultimately, I think it's a pretty good film. Especially, it's a really good first film. I think this director Pesci brought a very specific kind of vision and story that he wanted to tell. He made some like really, really strong choices, and he also had some really pretty intense sort of narrative threads that he wanted to run down. And he did all of those things. There is a point in the middle where it's funny for a 77-minute movie to get a little like flat. It like got a little flat at one point, but it picked back up and ultimately like I say, it goes to some weird places. It's not a movie that you enjoy watching necessarily. I mean, it's funny because we haven't watched a movie like this in a while, I feel like, but there's like a pretty long line of horror movies that are like this where no one's ever going to be like, oh yeah, that was my favorite movie. But at the same time, you have an emotional experience with it, I guess is like the easiest way to put it.
This was a really interesting movie for me because I feel like we sort of like I think I have this list of kind of the top 5 most disturbing movies we've ever done for this show. And they're usually movies that get like a lot of word of mouth about how disturbing they are, and you sort of have a sense going in. And I, like usual these days, like no idea what I was walking into. And we were like texting about it, and I was like, oh, so this isn't a movie I should watch with my wife? And she wrote back, oh dear God, no.
Yeah, this it made 1 or 2 people's top 10 lists last year. Like people who saw it did put it on their top 10s last year.
I mean, so it was interesting for me to see it without being ready for that kind of thing because I like to be like a little prepared. And I think that Jason makes a lot of valid points about the way that it's detached from its characters. I mean, really just character. And I sort of felt that way through a lot of it, and I felt kind of detached. I wasn't really sure if I was into this, but then as the film goes on, I think these scenes add up with just this incredible, just gut-wrenching tension. And the director, what he does so well here is like make these, for lack of a better term, he creates these like pregnant moments where it's just 2 characters having a conversation or staring each other down or talking to each other. And it's like you can feel the rope is like turned and the tension is there and it's about to snap because you know where it's going. But like it's acted and directed so well. The scene with the mother and the baby, which maybe we can talk about it later. Even the opening scene with the serial killer like strolling into their house is crazy intense, like a really, really scary scene. And it's not even that graphic, save for like one shot at the end, but it's something that feels graphic, I think, because of how raw it is. And the whole thing is, I feel like that it's shot in black and white. It's really kind of sparse and minimalist. And so, just like Casey, though, I totally would not recommend anybody watch this movie. Like, unless you were really looking for a challenge and really looking for kind of like, hey, what's out there that's really disturbing? And to be fair, I think some horror fans are into that. maybe my younger days, John. But
You're getting soft, dude.
I actually have a lot of respect for this movie, even if I didn't necessarily love it. I think being short really works in its favor because of how kind of dreamlike it is. Like I literally had to turn the subtitles on for the English because even when they're speaking English, it's like so soft and kind of muted, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I found it to be like a pretty affecting film in the end, and pretty impressive, I think, from a first-time director.
Yeah, we didn't. I mean, I didn't even talk about the black and white when I was introducing the movie, but it was. I didn't know it was going to be in black and white when I started it, and I was like, "Oh, interesting." There's some interesting cinematography in this movie. I mean, like it's one of those things where if I feel like if you're on a tight budget and you've got a pretty minimalist plot, like you better deliver the fuck out of some cinematography
Some
to have an
visuals,
interesting
yeah,
movie.
exactly.
But they did. I mean, like they have the scene or the setting of the film at this farmhouse. It's fairly nondescript as far as farmhouses go, but they make use of some interesting stuff. There's like a couple like what I would guess are like drone shots overhead that are like direct overhead shots. They make a lot of good use of sort of like far like length of or depth of field, you know, and then some like insane close up or very very strong close up. So really interesting choices in that regard.
Yeah,
I think John used an interesting word when he did his review, and that is story. And that begs me to ask the question: what is the story of this film? There isn't one.
Yeah, I don't know.
At 10 years old, this girl is tearing the eyes out of people.
I don't like. I
she's
think
just born crazy. So what's the story?
Well, I think she's isolated. Like, it's this girl who doesn't know anyone except for her mother and father. Like, they're obviously in this very sort of secluded area.
they're
like,
immigrants also, which I think blends into part of why they're so isolated.
yeah, like
Or at least she is. We don't know if the dad is, but yeah, that's a fair point.
Like, I just think that yeah, she was like messed up from birth, but like why can't you just accept that? Like I don't know. Like I'm not being confrontational here. Like I'm just saying like
No,
we
fine.
watch horror movies all the time where like
I don't know,
people are
Joe.
just
It
fucked
sounded
up to begin with.
controversial.
I can accept it. And like, take a film. I think I mentioned Remo, like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, right?
Yeah.
A very disturbing film, and that's my wheelhouse. Like I own Martyrs on DVD. I've seen it multiple times. I've seen Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer multiple times. I love films like this. You know, May is another film that comes to mind that's sort of like this, right? Or Maniac. They're films that tell the story of an individual and how they kind of got to where they are.
Yeah.
So
I
I don't
look at something like Halloween, like other than like the Rob Zombie one, like you never know why like Michael Myers decided
Love
to kill
hurts.
his.
I don't know. I
his
think
sister.
I see it both ways. I think, and this isn't really an excuse, but when I'm seeing a movie like this, right away I kind of get myself in like art house mode, where I just go like,
Sure.
all right, none of this is gonna make any fucking sense, and I'm just gonna let it wash it. And but it's that's not to like let the film off light. I think that there could have been maybe some stronger development of like thematically things that are happening and what they mean. But without it, I still think it's interesting in that it's just got this like dreamlike quality to it. I do kind of agree though that it doesn't really have much to say in the end. So I guess I understand that.
See,
criticism.
I don't know. Like
I didn't have a
disagree
problem with that
Yeah.
story.
I
Because this
think
movie
it's-
to me was about crippling loneliness. Because this girl was alone with just her parents and isolated up until her mom died. And then after that, she's stuck. There's like 10 years that jumps. And she's stuck in those 10 years in a house with a father who won't talk to her because he's so upset about her mother. So she's isolated even more. And then by the time that he passes on, she's lost the two people that she's known in her life besides the dude chained up in her barn. So she's lost her entire world. To me, the whole story is crippling loneliness.
I don't even think like the father, and this is where I'm gonna get weird, but like I don't think the father was affected at all by the mother's death.
see,
Like,
I
I
agree
think
with
he
you,
was just
Joe.
this cold guy to begin with. Like, and
Yeah.
I think
And-
he was fucked up, but I read it though as like he literally snapped. Like so, think about it. Not
That's
only
how I read it.
not
too.
only did he see his wife get murdered, but he murdered that dude with his bare hands. What it looked like, and then literally the way he's just dead-eyed staring at the TV. I looked at it as he literally has just lost his marbles at this point.
So we're because I don't believe that they ever showed this. We're assuming she's the one that cut his eyes out, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, we have to infer then at that point that the husband's kind of like, here's a scalpel, go have fun. right? Because he's sitting on the couch watching, you know.
I think he.
Big
No,
the
I don't think
sitcoms.
he knew.
I
what
don't
was
think he
I don't
cared
think
at all. Like,
yeah, he didn't know what the hell she was doing.
Yeah, so he tied her up, and or he the husband ties up the killer, and then at least what I got out of it, because you then see the girl kind of like finishing up, and she goes back inside and says something to the father to the effect of, well, he won't make any more noise at least, or something
Yeah.
like that.
Well, because they hear him in the barn, like he wakes up and you start hearing screaming. She goes out, cuts the guy's tongue out, comes back inside and said he won't be making any more noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, honestly, this was the part of the movie where I was the most like. I think it opens really strong, and then through this part of the movie, I kind of was like, "What the fuck am I watching?" I think once we go ahead to she's an adult and the father is dead, so it's like another. And I guess that's kind of interesting the way that the whole film is based around inflection points. Like John, you mentioned over email, I didn't really put this together. There's no middle parts, right? Like we don't see the montage part of her life. We see each time we pick up with her, it's at a different point in her life when something is about to happen that's going to be a hard break in kind of who she is and what her life is like.
There's huge jumps in time.
Well,
Yeah.
not only that, can I ask what time frame in America do you think that this is actually set in? Because it doesn't seem like it's set in modern day.
I think that
right?
the original stuff was somewhere between the around the 50s and 60s maybe, and that this would have been more 70s and 80s once we jump to her being adult.
Now, see,
I thought the movie ends like in present day. Almost.
Yeah, I would say the same. That it's like mostly present day by the time it ends.
I guess
mean,
your
like,
clues would have been like in
that's-
so that when she meets the mother, your only clues are like, okay, what is the mother wearing? What is her like? This is such a dad thing to say, but like, what does the car seat look like? Because that technology.
Yeah, but this is also
is
like
crazy.
set. Like I could see this in the middle of the Midwest. Like that setting could be there like right now. Like versus having to jump back 56.
Yeah, there was nothing in that farmhouse where you're like, oh, this is like ancient times,
I'm
or this is.
I'm not. Well, I mean, you definitely are somewhere in the middle of the 20th century. Like you have to be, or like there or farther, because we
Well,
see
sure, they're
we see
watching TV.
cars, we see televisions, that kind of thing. I'm not sure it's honestly that super important to the overall thing.
No, I think it could have been.
No, it's not. But it's a fair question. There's the sequence where she drives to the bar, just based on like the light outside the bar. The bar's called like Dickie's or something like, or Ricky's. But
Dickies.
no, like the signage is like
It was
modern.
a hula hands, John. Have you never been to one?
You know,
Yeah, shenanigans.
I don't know, but no, it's a fair question. No, I mean the movie does jump. Like she starts, she's like 10, and when the movie ends, she's like, I don't know, 30. Like,
And I think this guy chained
Yeah,
in
or
the
like late
barn
20s.
ages a year and a half.
Like,
well, he was old. Like, he was already, you know.
I only ask because I think I associate that kind of extreme isolation probably with a time in the past, which probably isn't fair or accurate, but like it feels like it's set in the past because of how isolated they are.
Yeah. No, it's a fair point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big
You've
country.
never driven through Indiana. I'm assuming.
Yeah. I was gonna say you ever been to the capital region, but yeah. No, it is a fucking weird movie. It's funny, like even as we're like talking about it, it's like there's as much emotion on either side is like a good indication that there's some wacky crap going on.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about the third sequence then?
I think we
Yeah,
do.
let's do it.
I think Eric really wants to talk about Joe probably the most actually. So
It's pretty messed up.
the first sequence is mother. Second
My
sequence
dad
is father.
never hugged me. All right, Joe.
The story of how I got my other daughter. That's what it is.
Yeah, and so the third section is called family. I'm trying to remember. Does it just start with her getting picked up?
With the woman.
Well, no,
and
it's
baby, yeah.
isn't it the
Yeah.
day after? Oh, I'm trying to think.
Isn't it the day after
mo-
a bonfire?
Is the day after
Yeah.
she kills the woman? Isn't it the next day?
She's riding
no.
in the car with the woman and the baby.
No,
Well,
okay,
but
no.
she
What
stumbles
happens?
out of the woods.
No, but why was
Yeah.
she in the woods? Hadn't she just killed somebody and then she wandered
The
into
guy,
the
the
woods?
guy tried to escape, so she killed him.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay. So
okay,
she, right. So the serial killer who's been like eyeless, chained up in her barn for 15 years, whatever. And it's unclear to me is if this had ever happened before. Although because of the way the movie's structured, I feel like it had not. she brought him into the house, gave him a creepy bath, like cuddled him, and then got nude, let's say, John, and they did things together.
They made love.
We don't really
They
see it.
made love, Eric.
We don't
yeah.
really see it, and it's interesting, like the way that this
Eyeless,
movie,
tongueless love.
the way that it's interesting the way this movie suggests,
Got nude.
it suggests like explicit things in a lot of areas without really showing them in an interesting way, but still
Oh,
feels
yeah, yeah.
icky because of just like what's happening. So
They
then
touched butts.
she falls asleep, and when she wakes up, and this is brutal. Like this guy has made his way outside and he's trying to escape, but literally like he's basically hobbled. He has no eyes, so he's just like he's like limping
And he's
and
been
hobbling.
living in a barn for
and
15 years.
This is another one of those points where they make a really fascinating directorial choice where she gets up, she looks out the window from the top floor, and she sees him walking into the night into the field trying to escape, and she leaves the room, and we stay in the window, and we literally until she's about to kill him, we watch this whole thing as she walks slowly into the field. These are these moments where I think this film really excels and becomes memorable because it's like just the image of him trying to walk after being locked up in this barn for however many years is like really hard to watch because this guy's
Yeah.
like clearly in a bad way, and it's like both of the people that this happens to in the movie, they become sort of like animalized, like they don't speak and they don't seem to really be
Eric,
fully
don't
aware.
judge them. That would happen to all of us.
So anyway, then there's this crazy intense scene where she kills the guy. It's the first time she's ever killed somebody, and she whispers to him a thing that was she
Well,
said.
it's not the first time.
She said to him when she had first tied him up. She said to the guy, why do you do it or whatever?" And he said, "Because it feels amazing" or something. This is kind of a nice little moment where then she kills him, and says, "You're right, it does feel amazing." And then this is like a big inflection point in the movie though because she's now like officially full on actively murdered somebody.
No, but she murdered the woman too. This isn't the first time.
No. The woman.
No, the woman was after. So the guy's gone, and then she goes out to find like companionship, right? And then the woman happens.
Oh, I thought the woman happened first.
No, the woman's at the end.
No.
No,
The woman that comes
No,
home
she's
from the
talking about
bar.
the date.
The woman that picks up the bar.
Sorry.
She also says to the date that she murdered her father, correct?
Yeah.
Do we
Yes.
believe that that's true, or that she just said that?
I
to be
feel
I
crazy?
like
thought
it's
she might have
true.
drowned him in the bath.
Yeah, I
Well,
feel
he was
like
dead
it's
when she was bathing him already.
What? That? Are we sure?
Yeah,
I thought
when-
he died of
when he's in the muddy water, when he's in the dirty
being
water,
old.
he's already
Mhm.
dead.
yeah, because it looked like
Ah.
he'd been soaking in there with like some fluids. you
She's
know?
sleeping with him. She's Norman Batesing him, basically.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Also made
it's
me
not
wonder if
clear.
there was weird stuff going on with the old dad and the daughter there. Just like, why are they sleeping in the same bed? That's weird.
he was dead.
Well, no, I
wasn't he?
understand that, but he wasn't dead before. I assume she just kept sleeping
Yeah.
in the bed with him after.
Hmm.
That's all
Yeah,
I'm
I
saying.
don't think she just crawled in bed with
But
him
it's
after he
kinda like-
died. I think
it's-
she's always been there.
It's kind of
Oh
this,
yeah, no. They showed like when she was a kid, like she
yeah,
would sleep in bed with
yes,
him.
Yeah, it's kind of a thread that's interesting about this movie though. Like it's really specifically doesn't show you how certain things happen. It just suggests them and leaves it open for you to kind of fill in the blanks. It can be frustrating, but it's also gives it this kind of weird vibe to it. Anyway, so eventually she's killed her dad. She's killed the guy theoretically. She's killed the guy in captivity. She's killed the woman from the bar. I honestly don't remember what order that happens in. But then after one of these murders, she wanders out of the woods, and in the morning basically emerges from the woods and gets picked up by a woman who has a baby in her car. The woman drives her back to her house. And at some point during this ride, we see a lot of this ride. It's really awkward. It's like the world's worst Uber, and literally. And but you can see that and there's great acting in the scene by both of these women. You can see the mother sort of slowly is feeling a little uncomfortable with her, but not really in any kind of panic mode yet. But just, like she's quiet in a really weird and unsettling way.
Well, she's very like small, like
Yeah.
thin and
Eh,
petite kind of.
I'm
So she's
mousy.
not imposing
And so
physically.
they get to the house, and she's kind of been cooing to the baby the whole ride. And the mother kind of looks over, and she's like, "Hey, is this you?" And then she's like, "Can I hold that? Can I hold the baby?" And she's making these noises, and the mother says no. And at this point, you totally know the mother's like, "Okay, I need to like get out of this situation." But again, like very subtle acting in this scene that's just really, really fun to watch. I mean, not fun at all, but you know what I mean. The
Laugh riot.
yeah, the craft is there, John, is what I'm trying to say.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
and this really, really intense scene plays out where the mother finally relents in the hopes that this will get her to go away. and she picks up the baby, and this is like maybe to me the most chilling moment in the film. In Portuguese, who obviously this woman doesn't understand it, but she says to her like, "You have no idea how much this gift means to me," or something along those lines. And then she just turns and gets out of the car, and we stay in the car for a second with the mother and just watch the mother's world just like instantly just collapse basically. And then the mother gets out, and we kind of follow the mother into the house. She hears her baby crying and screaming. She tracks it upstairs where the baby's like placed on a bed, and then out comes this girl who's like the queen of awkward silent stabbing. Which is the second movie we've done in recent memory of just like brutal, way too realistic stabbing, where we're just like we're quietly living with the stabbing. And like she kills she doesn't kill the woman. She just stabs her, and then she eyeball barn tortures her. She straps her up in the barn like the dude, and she keeps the kid. I mean, to me, it's like the scene that makes the movie in a lot of ways because it's so intense.
It's a thing.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it's really rough.
Yeah,
And like she at one point she's holding the baby on the bed while the mother with a knife in her back is like pleading with her. It's like this is the moment that I was like, this movie's fucked up, man.
She then proceeds to keep that mom alive, obviously.
She keeps the mom alive. She basically but the movie jumps again. We jump to presumably whatever modern day is, and the kid is now 5, 6 maybe.
Yeah.
And sleeps in the bed with the mom, and he as far as he was a baby, so he just thinks that's his mom. And he discovers his actual mother in the shed, and kind of asks the mom about it. Now, I missed a key point here. Like, I looked away or something. How does the mother get out? Does the boy let her out? Or does she just kind of get out?
Yeah, no, the boy lets her out. Because the
Okay.
boy starts, like, interacting with her.
Right.
And at first, she's, like, super scary. It's the sequences where they're showing her, like, emerge out of the dark. I mean, it's pretty chilling.
You know
And
what
then-
it is? It's like Zelda from Pet Sematary, where she just kind of comes out of the shadows.
Oh god.
Well, she's also unlike Charlie that they had chained in there before, who had the same treatment. She's also more vocal, or trying to be more vocal. So when she comes out of the shadows, it's very much more aggressive because she's coming out grunting basically.
But
Yeah.
she like figures out who it is, and like she learns to like moderate herself down. That's why he eventually lets her out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the woman gets out, and then this dovetails into the original scene that we saw where the truck driver finds her on the road. And then that
Yeah,
leads-
I forgot about that. I didn't tee that up in the beginning, but that's how
Yeah.
the film opens. Is
Right.
A truck driver.
and so
finds
it all
her.
kind of comes full circle, and this is when the mother realizes that the woman has escaped, and this is going to go bad for her. And this is interesting, right? Because you're not really sure throughout the entire film if she really understands that what she's doing is bad or the consequences. But clearly, when she realizes the woman's gone, she knows this is all about to end. So maybe she's just put it together through the years, maybe. But
Well, she knows they'll take the kid away from her. Like
Right.
I think she at least understands it's not her child.
right, and so there's this whole scene where the cops are kind of descending in the house. She's really intense, where she gets up, she wakes the kid up out of sleep, and says like, "Just know whatever they say to you, that I loved you," or something like that. It's really a crazy thing where she's just trying to impart this like last, message on the kid, and then she pulls a knife out, and she's scared, and they're banging on the door, and then like, again going back to this theme, the camera cuts to like an aerial shot of the house, and you just hear a gunshot, and that's it. Like that's the end of the movie. So even in the end, you're sort of left to fill in the blanks yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very intense scene, though. I thought.
It's super intense.
Well, I mean, what do we think of the ending? I mean, like the fact that we don't actually, like, what do you think happened? Like, do you think she tried to? Do you think she killed the boy?
I think she
Or-
killed herself.
I
Well,
like
no,
to think
I
that she
mean-
didn't kill the boy, because otherwise this is the most depressing
But
film.
based on the rest
ever
of the
made.
movie, would that
Well,
be
based
a
on what she
surprise?
said, like no matter what they tell you, like know that I loved you. I'm assuming that she
Yeah.
let him live.
Like,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
guess, like in the base, you feel like okay, the cops came in and saw the knife and just shot her. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I wouldn't have put it past her to try to kill the kid.
You also have to wonder. I was left wondering, Did she actually try anything against the cops? Because I mean, there was the whole scene about her digging up her mom's corpse and stuff like that. Or was she just that batshit insane that she's been Norman Bates and her mom for all this time, and's been thinking her
She
mom's
just
been
wants
talking
someone
to
to
her?
talk to, Casey. I mean,
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. Maybe
I think she
just,
fought her way out, and they're living in Tijuana right now. That's what
Oh,
Yeah.
I'd like that.
I think it's highly probable if an unexperienced cop walked in, seen her with a giant knife talking to a skull, a human skull, they'd probably freak out.
Yeah,
Or a
that's-
kid, like,
Yeah.
next to a kid with a giant knife, like they would just
Yeah.
take the shot.
Yeah.
Take the shot.
I think that's fair.
It was intense for sure, though. I liked it. I loved the ending.
Yeah.
It was great.
I mean, it's what's
her, the
interesting.
child, corpse of her father, living in Tijuana right now.
It's sequel.
You know, there were like definite moments in this movie where I just wasn't with it and was feeling like I was kind of losing me. But it's funny, I actually am liking it more as time goes on because of it's kind of sticking with me a little bit. I've been thinking about it more.
I would say like the one scene that actually kind of broke it for me was when she does go to the bar. Like, I don't know why, but like for some reason when you took her out of that setting of the farm and put her like in this bar and like everything looked
Yeah.
not modern, but like I don't know, it jarred me a bit and I actually didn't like that.
No,
Well,
I
how would
agree.
how would she even know that the bar existed?
Well,
She
Yeah,
knows
yeah.
how to drive as well. Evidently.
Yeah, she knew how to drive. The other thing that's like never answered in the film is like, where is she getting like her food from?
Or money, or how was she paying for
Yeah.
whatever? Like it's a bit of a
You got to be willing to take some rides. Well, we know that she's feeding like basically rats to the dude,
Yeah.
because they do show her catching rats and like turning it into stew of some kind.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of where I think I split from you guys as well. Is you guys praised it for being. I'd like 5 more minutes of just something to hang my hat on.
well, they did like the
they
mother
really had to
did-
keep it under 80 minutes. All right, I'm sorry. It's just
the
how it
mother
is.
showed her how to slaughter the cattle, so I mean she could have been living off of that. Like I don't know what kind of crops are growing out there, John, despite you thinking it's not a farm.
There's no way this woman could take care of cows, let alone a baby.
I
Yeah.
disagree. Like it was
Baby's
obvious that the
dying,
mother
That
was
baby
doing
was
a lot
pretty.
of this.
I
and
mean, once they
think
get
she
to
might-
a certain point, I'm pretty like self-sufficient,
yeah.
There's knives all over that place.
right?
There's sharp objects.
I could agree with that to an extent too, though, with what Jason's saying, because this girl's made it obvious at some point she's going to be tired and worn out, and that kid's going to be screaming, and she is not the type that's going to handle that with a level head.
Right. And like I said in the email, my babies die almost 3 times a day.
That's when you start picking up hitchhikers and like, all right, yeah, you can hold my baby for a couple hours.
My favorite moment of the email exchange was when Joe said that he thought the relationship between the father and the daughter was kind of sweet.
I
And
don't
then,
know
like,
if I used the word sweet.
and then he
I
went
just
on to
think-
say a bunch of other stuff that he thought that part was controversial, and I was just waiting. Let's back up a second here.
I just thought it was super interesting. Like, and I don't want to get too into this, but like that guy, despite like the murder and all that, like reminded me of my grandfather. Like, I gotta imagine a lot of people can relate to that. Like, your grandfather is like this old guy who never shows any sort of warmth, but like
Yeah, sure.
she still saw him as this like warm father figure, despite the fact that he was like completely disinterested and wouldn't even look at her. And like I
That's
feel
all
like
she knew.
exactly, like a lot of people, like when I was a kid, like my grandfather, like I don't even think he ever hugged me, but like still, like I saw him as like a grandfather and like this warm and fuzzy guy. Like I think a lot of people can relate to that.
So what you're saying is the sweet part is her innocence not recognizing what a
Sure, yeah. I don't even know if I use the
Detached
word sweet.
a-hole is.
I just I thought
That's what I took away from it. I don't know. You know, it's fine.
Well, she's cutting people's eyeballs. So
you guys don't know what I've been through.
You don't know me. I wish
My
there was
grandfather
a,
did own a farm, actually.
I wish there was a movie guide for this, but I
Oh,
don't think
boy.
there is.
Yeah, so this, I mean, I said it at the top, like this actually got some buzz at the end of last year. I mean, we had people. It did make a couple top 10 lists. It's a real kick in the
If I had
though.
seen this last year, it would have made mine for sure.
It might have made mine.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's-
I don't remember what was on last year's list. It wasn't.
Eric's
quite-
gonna put it on this year's list. He's gonna sneak it in there at the last minute.
I do what I want. I think that's clear.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
guys.
Good times.
Would you recommend this, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely.
John?
I'm gonna say yes as well.
Casey?
I'd say yes.
Jason?
no. No, it would not.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I enjoyed it, like you have to be a specific kind of horror fan at a very specific point in your movie going career that this is something you want to see. Or if you just like really fancy ass art house movies, I think you might be into this. Sophistical guys, John. All over this, I'm
Mhm.
sure. I'm sure.
We
I-
got an upcoming Sophistical BT Dubs, The
Nice.
Handmaiden.
Oh.
Mm.
Yeah.
Isn't that a whole
Yeah.
series?
That's a
Or
good
is
one.
Is it a whole series or just a movie?
No, it's a movie. No, you're thinking of Handmaid's Tale, the series, but The Handmaiden is the new Park Chan-wook film.
Yeah, that's a
Ah.
sexy, sexy film, John.
Oh, it is. If you're looking for a sexy little joint to watch,
Oh,
whew,
Jason's awake.
steamy.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a good
It's pretty crazy.
All right, guys. That's going to do it for The Eyes of My Mother. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
We told you the rules.
Remember the first one?
You can't get them wet.
Don't let them eat after midnight.
What if they're eating in an airplane and they cross the time zone? I mean, it's always midnight somewhere.
You didn't listen. Now, was that civilized? No, clearly not. Gremlins 2, the new batch. Rocking your way this summer. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, June 15th at a theater near you.
Hello, creeps.
It's John Kassir.
The voice of the Crypt Keeper. And I'm a friend of bloodygoodhorror.com.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back. That trailer bring up a lot of tough emotions for you, Joe?
A lot of urges.
How's
a
your
lot of-
how's your relationship with your feelings
Yearnings.
on the female gremlin lately? Still,
it hasn't changed in 20 years.
yeah, that's fair. Sorry, I
We-
forgot.
we
I
should-
didn't. I
We
forgot.
should move on.
I forgot that was gonna trigger you. I forgot about that. Email info@bloodygoodhorror.com. We have no email tonight. Apparently, everybody was out just doing their thing on Memorial Day. Nobody was giving deep thought to our Alien Covenant episode, John.
Step it up, people.
Info@bloodygoodhorror.com. We're also on
Step up to the
Twitter
streets.
at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH and BGH Classics. And we put out a call to our patrons tonight to save us with a little bit of feedback, lest we start psychosexually analyzing Joe's proclivities here to try to fill time.
That is not a door you guys want to open.
Oh, we already opened it and stepped inside, unfortunately, Joe.
I moved in.
Yeah.
Please wipe your feet.
Do you, Joe, you want to take
I
Twitter?
got
I
'em.
can take.
I've got them. I got them both. If you want
All
to
right.
just knock it out. So BGH Classics, the hashtag we use. Or if you want to tweet in some exciting quotes that you've heard in a previous episode. First one from Liberty O Congress. This is a two-parter here. John, and they made Parker Posey look awful. And then Eric responds, no. Parker Posey's parents made her look awful.
Oh,
That's all the way back to episode 14, The Eye.
I mean,
boy.
Wow.
you know,
We've all
I have no
we've
So
all
rough.
said some things.
I
This
love
one
Parker Posey, so I'll still fight
Yeah.
for that.
This one might be one of my favorites. It's from @jher0. Mark saying to Eric, "For the love of fucking God, let me finish my sentence." And then Eric replies simply, "No." It's episode
Yeah.
305, Annabelle.
/ 15 other episodes. probably.
Exactly.
I stand by that.
Lord.
And then another one from Jerhol. They don't really cover the paranormal rules of a reach around. Episode 325, it follows.
It's true.
Who said it? We don't even know.
That was Mark. That was Mark who said that. And then last at least on Twitter from @StovelCody42. Joe has photographic ass memory, and that's from Mark on the Crazies remake.
Yeah.
And then 2 quick ones from Mi Corazon, Mi Amor, over on our Slack. She said, eat a hot bowl of dicks. We should use that as a default response to any comment on our website. And that is from Mark on episode 166, Santa Sangre. Back when we used to have comments on our on the website.
Very nice.
And then lastly from Mi Corazon, Mi Amor, also from episode 166, Santa Sangre. I'm clean shaven everywhere, and that was me.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I think I may have been. I don't know.
Back in your racing days.
Yeah, well, smooth, just like Vasilka. And then, so Ask BGH, where you can tweet in any questions for the episode. First up from @Skizbot. As someone who does it all the time, what is your stance on going to the movie theater alone? Sad or rad?
I go all by the
Yeah,
by myself quite a bit.
Honestly, I mean, like, here's the thing. We have done literally hundreds of movies for the show, and we wouldn't be able to do it if we didn't. So, like, I'm just used to it now. It's just what I do.
Yeah.
And it's nice, especially, like, once you become a parent, it's, like, kind of nice and quiet.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing.
I would say
when you have to go multiple times in a month, you better have a lot of friends. Otherwise, people are just gonna be like, "What is the matter with you?"
I would say the only time I was uncomfortable was when we did Paranorman, which was like an animated, like a claymation movie.
Mhm.
That I felt a little creepy going to by myself.
I actually saw that one with Mark, oddly enough.
Yeah.
I don't know if that made it better or not, but
Not to mention half the weird shit I see, I couldn't convince anyone else to go see it with me.
Oh yeah, no, there's no way my wife would see half of this shit.
Yeah.
Next up from @MC Hunter1990, who wins? Gremlins versus Critters, Leprechaun versus Chucky, Pyramid. Maybe we should do these one at a time. Gremlins versus Critters.
No, why don't you read them all and then part of it?
Gremlins?
Yeah.
We're not asking what's the better movie. We're asking which creature would kill the other.
win, yeah.
And clearly, critters are more dangerous than gremlins.
I don't know.
They can turn into that big ball and
the
roll
gremlins have a
over the
real
gnomes.
like swarm effect.
Yeah, but
like,
gremlins can
use
replicate.
They can use tools and like drive cars, not effectively, but they can do it. So.
I mean, they can operate a bar and a popcorn machine. I mean, they're pretty advanced.
That's a
There you
good
go.
point. And a movie projector.
Critters did have like those little darts though, right?
Yeah, they could shoot
Gremlins
spikes.
really-
Gremlins would just get together and do some stupid shit.
I was gonna say they really just want to have fun. Is the
Right.
thing,
Yeah.
you know? So
Just
They
like
want to
girls.
Gremel. All right, how about Leprechaun versus Chucky?
Chucky, come on.
Yeah.
Don't
I
be
would agree
silly.
with
Although
that.
Leprechaun is like kind of magic. Well, Chucky's magic too.
Yeah, but Leprechaun can't do anything unless you wish for it, right?
I don't remember the
I
rules.
don't think any of
It's
those people
been many
wish
years.
to be murdered. Pyramid Head versus Pumpkinhead.
I'm unclear what Pyramid Head is.
Pyramid Head is the dude
from,
from Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Oh, then Pumpkinhead. Come on.
Yeah, I would go with that. And then lastly, the Graboids versus the Bugs in Starship Troopers.
The bugs in Starship Troopers are nasty. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I think that is it
Rico's
for.
up next.
Over to the Slacks. We got a bunch on here, so I regret offering this up. First up from our buddy.
We love you
Pippin.
all, though.
How long do I need to wait before I can consider Dracula 2000 a good movie and can feel nostalgic about it and the soundtrack? I think it's been 17 years,
yeah,
right?
bro,
Like, I
it's
think
been
you're
a
there.
long time. I don't mean to rock your world here, but it's officially you can be nostalgic about it.
I mean, I need to go back and rewatch it.
The answer to the question, can you ever consider a good movie? Absolutely not. It's not a good movie.
Hmm.
No, I would agree
I don't.
with that,
I have
but
never seen
now
it.
I'm kind of like maybe I need to watch it again.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Is
I don't think I ever either.
And I don't remember the soundtrack being anything to write home about either. But maybe again, I was a young man.
Well, 2000. I bet it was real rap metally, like real.
Looking this up right now.
Yeah.
Gerard Butler.
I believe that's a
good.
Wes Craven joint, yeah?
Gerard
No,
Depardieu.
it's Patrick Lussier.
Oh, they got Lucier for that one.
Mhm.
Let's see, we got
Patrick, don't
Power Man
forget-
5000, Disturbed, Slayer, Systems of a Down,
Yeah, exactly.
Monster Magnet.
Mhm.
I literally could
Mans-
have. I could have ridden that band list without actually seeing it.
Yeah.
Um,
Static X had PE.
John Lucier did the My Bloody Valentine 3D remake.
Yeah, he did Drive Angry. He
Oh,
did.
that's true. That's true.
We've reviewed several of his films. I can't remember.
I like that.
Terminator
Valentine
Genesis
remake.
I still love Drive Angry, just for the record.
Oh, did I ever tell you guys that I got like severe food poisoning and it hit like right at the end of that movie, and I did drive angry home?
Did it?
Like I lost like 15 pounds that weekend.
Jesus Christ. Let's go. Let's move on.
All right, SBGH. A couple more from Mi Corazon, Mi Amor. Did Schnaps lose his hands in a recent accident, or has he been murdered? He'll know what I'm referring to.
Tell Monica, just she could chill it out a little bit. I know what she's referring to.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. All right,
Yeah.
she sent in another one, which none of us are going to answer. I'm just going to tell you that right now. What's more enticing, the eyes of my mother or Cece's beautiful smoldering gothy lipstick on the recent BGH live recording?
I did compliment her on her lipstick. It was very bright.
I mean, I was gonna go with the lipstick too, even though I didn't see it. I can just imagine though.
I don't know. That baby snatching's pretty enticing.
That's true. We got one from Frank. Did you guys see The Rock and all his cod-eating muscles in Baywatch?
Cod.
We already kind of
weren't we
talked
talking about
Asked and answered up front.
We talked about some
yeah, Joe saw
interview
it.
somewhere where he was talking about how much he hates. Like he was joking about how much he hates cod.
Who?
Come on.
The Rock. Yeah, it was somebody was asking about his diet.
Why is he trying to tear down all my fantasies about him?
Did you guys watch? There's a YouTube channel, First We Feast. They do that hot wings one that we've talked about before, where they have like famous people on and they eat hot wings. They posted, I think it was yesterday or today, one of their guys, the guy who hosts the hot wings one, trying to do the Rock challenge where he eats his for like the day. It was actually pretty funny to watch.
Sounds gross. I'll avoid that. Thanks.
A lot of cod.
Thanks
another
to
one.
Joe. All I've watched is review of the week for the last.
Oh my god, that guy's the best, right?
Unbelievable.
One more from Mi Corazon, Mi Amor. New segment. Question mark. 7-second dance party to revive Eric from falling asleep. It's possible it would get weird, like Kenneth from 30 Rock dancing with Will Arnett. I'm imagining Eric saying, "Touch your belt, now touch your peacock."
I mean,
John.
the middle bumper is actually kind of a little wake-up dance party for most of us, I think.
Yeah, it's nice.
Just doesn't always work.
Got one from Alyssa Gray. What deep-set childhood fear do you think would be made into a movie? I.e., I was terrified of mirrors until I was around 17 because I always felt like someone was behind it looking at me.
Wow. The Labyrinth happens in the movie.
Bigfoot.
Yeah, I mean, I was afraid of the Uncle Traveling Matt doll chasing after me and killing me, and they basically made that into a movie with Child's Play, so...
I don't care for snakes. One more from Alyssa. What do you think? This is a little spoilery, but I think we're fine at this point. What do you think Francisca did with the parts she kept? Do you think it has a relevance to her weird mother worship? I got the impression that she was actually starting to feed those parts.
Maybe that's
so
what
too.
Oh, she was feeding them to, like, the people, or she was eating them herself?
I mean, how many dead rats can you find?
I kind of wondered if she was eating them herself too, because we had the question
Oh,
about
that's
how she would
interesting.
take
Well,
care
no,
of
because she
herself.
does. Yeah, she does feed the people roadkill. They show that, but then after she kills people, she chops each one of them up and then just kind of like I swear one of them she's putting in the fridge.
Yeah, I thought so too. That's
She put them all in the fridge.
Yeah, that's real
we
gross.
may never know. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with history. It's lost to history. Sorry.
Last one from Cece and her gothness. What's the weirdest thing you've ever or currently collected? Did you stop collecting it when people told you it was weird?
Mine's mostly like pretty normal horror fan stuff, I would think.
Yeah.
It's I believe it's on record that I had a pretty hefty fountain pen
That's
stealing
right.
addiction for a while.
That's right. You don't have them, right?
Oh no. Those were
Dear
thrown
God, no.
away as
The
evidence.
police told them. The police took
no.
this. I never really collected anything. Now that I think about it, not like. I mean, I had a
haven't been a
lot of
huge
CDs
collector
back in
either.
the day.
Broken hearts, John. Huh?
Yeah. Human fingers, but otherwise nothing.
And mine's been pretty standard: comic books, things like that, old books, paperbacks, all stuff that I know Cece would praise and not call weird. So
I keep my scabs in a jar.
Ugh.
And that's it for Ask BGH.
Love it.
Huzzah.
And did
Eric,
we?
we never put where you ranked Alien
Oh,
Covenant in your
God.
top 10.
All right, Joe. Read me my top 5.
Right now, you got in order: Get Out, the number 2, Split, The Black Coat's Daughter, Life at number 4, King Kong Skull Island at number 5, and number 6, The Belko Experiment.
Yeah, put this one at 4 and slide the rest.
Wow. So I need to see this, is what you're telling me.
Nah, you probably hate it. Whatever. I don't care. I liked it.
Did you like Prometheus, John?
I didn't hate it, but I don't remember loving it.
I remember
Okay.
you ruining my day by pointing out all the plot inconsistencies, and then I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Oh yeah, no, that definitely happened. So
There-
you want me to see this and then come back and tell you, and then we'll reevaluate.
No, John.
So where we are.
You do what you want. I'm gonna do
Okay.
me. You do you.
Well, I did poll the Slack community about. So I was in Los Angeles last week, and I had Thursday night kind of to myself, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to the movies. And so I went to the movies on Thursday night, and I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and
Nice.
it was a delight.
It's pretty dope, right?
Yeah, I had a good
Still
time.
haven't seen it.
I had a lovely.
fun.
I did not think it was as good as the first one, like
Yeah.
because the first one to me, like, I just hadn't seen anything like it or not in a while, and it kind of like set a template. And this hits a lot of the same notes, and it hits them really well. But you know, it's still a
Pretty good.
sequel.
We're actually, my entire department is going out to see it together.
Yeah, that's nice.
Did
We're
we?
friends.
I may have zoned out, but did we talk about Adam Winger directing Godzilla?
No, breaking news. Here
Godzilla
on the
versus
podcast.
Kong. So let's look here. I would like to look at his Internet Movie Database profile here.
Kip Winger. All right. She's only 17. You know what's weird is I actually Googled Kip Winger while we were talking about this.
Adam Wingard. Born December 3rd, 1982, John, so he's about the same age as I am.
Mm-hmm,
Look all the things he's done with his life. His first movie that you would have heard of, A Horrible Way to Die, which I didn't see.
Mm-hmm.
He did You're Next, which we've reviewed and most of us liked. He did a segment in the original VHS. He did a segment in ABCs of Death. VHS 2. He did The Guest.
Mm-hmm.
He directed The Blair Witch. And
Yes.
this says that he completed work. He did the Death Note movie, and he apparently directed the American remake of I Saw the Devil, which has been announced, or he's going to direct that. But maybe not now because this latest news is not on there. So
Got him.
Yeah,
That's a movie that doesn't need a remake.
I was gonna
that
say,
first
yeah.
film is fantastic.
I Saw the Devil. Well, yeah, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of movies that don't need remakes that get remakes, but hey, come on now.
So yeah, Adam Winger.
Then-
What do you think? What do you think of
The
this, John?
Death Note's a Netflix joint too, I think.
It's a lot of action
Uh,
to handle for someone that has never worked on this scale.
no, I mean, I think he can handle it. I'm not like worried. And he's got the right disposition to make it an interesting film. I mean, like, you look at the tone of Your Next or The Guest, like, love them. Like, really, really like those movies. The rest of his stuff, whatever, it's fine. I mean, the VHS films, like, whatever.
Shots fired.
No, I just mean, like, you can't, like, extrapolate much from, like, 2 segments in VHS.
Yeah.
Blair Witch, fine, but again, like,
I don't know, John.
try-
He is in the ABCs of Death, the greatest anthology film of all time.
Some of the action
which
sequences
related
in
sequence did he do? Sorry,
some of
go
the
ahead.
some of the action sequences in The Guest specifically are actually pretty awesome.
Interesting.
Oh, fantastic! I mean, the music's great. Like he like can, if you want to credit him with pulling together those entire films, which as director you do get that credit. Really good. Like there's like cool elements to all of them.
I have
so-
one request that he try to work in that song from Your Next somewhere, just as like a little, like a little Easter egg somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
Just saying.
All right.
All
I think we're
right.
good here, folks.
Did we
Could have
mine?
been worse.
Did we mine everything?
Let's wrap it
from-
up.
Did we mine everything from?
Yeah, that's it. We covered it.
Very nice.
Eric, you get to go to bed early tonight, man.
Look at that.
Love it. Info at
It's almost like we start and end on time when Mark isn't here.
bloodygoodhorror.com. John Schnars.
Yes, Eric.
New Sophistical heading our way.
Coming soon. I think we're gonna try and record this weekend. So
Is this going to be in the free feed or only for patrons?
probably patron only. I have to check. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus. There was some work stuff that kind of jammed everybody up, but we're coming back. Coming back hot.
Nice.
Talk about Handmaiden. This is our second film that's we're gonna get into some X-rated territory. I have a feeling. So
I love it.
second time.
That's
Yeah.
exactly Joe's territory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet spot, as they say.
A little sophistical after dark.
Speaking of
It's
Joe and not safe for work territory, Joe, you man the Bloody Good Horror Snapchat.
Oh yeah, although I'll be honest, I've kind of fallen behind. I was snapping up a storm at the Neil Diamond concert the
But
other
you
night,
do
though.
send snaps, the memories or whatever moments on Instagram. I've noticed that.
Yeah, I try and mix it up.
The difference being like what? That Snapchat can hook you up one-on-one with somebody?
No, they're pretty much the exact same thing at this point. And I think Instagram is now starting to do like face filters and stuff, which was like the big draw of
Right.
Snapchat. So
Right.
there's really no difference.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. Nobody uses Snapchat anymore.
Hot take.
True. Yes, that was a hot take. All right, guys, that's going to do it. We're not sure what we're doing next week. We know it's a video pick. So we're going to consult, maybe put something up to patrons to vote, and we will report back to you, the listener. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you next week.
See yous.
Goodbye.
You go, Jason.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.